Hola, SHPE familia. I'm Dora Renaud, Senior Director of Academic Programs and Professional Development here at SHPE. As a former principal and an online adjunct faculty member, I know how important it is to build and keep relationships with students and professors. Hopefully you had time to establish relationships with your professors before we transitioned into this online learning. Either way, how you communicate with your professors, teaching assistants, or graders is definitely important. So no one was fully prepared for the COVID-19 transition to online learning. Even for professors who have taught online before, they're probably accustomed to doing that from their office and not from home. And they likely taught one course online as opposed to all of their other courses. For faculty who haven't taught online before, the amount of logistics to be managed and the level of communication from students may feel a bit overwhelming, so keep that in mind. You want your professor to be able to focus on restructuring the remainder of your course online. The best piece of advice that I can give you is to consider how you can make efficient and effective use of your professor's time. So if your professor stated a communication preference, please follow it, even if it isn't your preference. If they haven't stated one, then ask, and ask it publicly so that everyone will know the answer. You should always be respectful in your communication, and you guys know that. And consider the best mode for communicating. So let me give you a few examples to help explain that. So if you need to ask a question that everyone in the class needs an answer to, ask it in a public forum for the class rather than sending a private email. If a question came up in your study group and relates to the whole class, one of you should pose the question to the professor in a public thread and tag the group members so they see the answer and get credit for asking along with you. If a question came up in your project team and only relates to your team, one of you should send an email to the professor and CC the others. Or if there's a way to create a private discussion in your online classroom, then do it there. As I said earlier, if the professor stated a communication preference, please follow it. If it's a question about the way it was graded, your assignment was graded, then go to the grader first, whether that's a grader or a teaching assistant or the professor. Don't go straight to the professor if someone else can answer it. So if you have a question on how to work out a problem, like when you would normally go to the office to visit office hours, then try to figure it out with your study group or study partner before communicating with the professor, and only use the professor's time if you really need it. If you solved it, but you're worried you used the wrong approach, you could always send a picture of it and ask if it's the right method. That would take less time for the professor to answer than just asking about the problem in an open way. So, wrapping it up, this espresso shot moment with sharing what I do at SHPE. So as Senior Director of Academic Programs, I oversee the content and curriculum at the National Convention, the 245 workshops and 5 conferences to make sure that you guys get the best experience. And also the 8 other events that go on throughout the year, along with our national programs. So signing off here, take care and stay safe.